Hello and welcome back. I am Maester Aelix and this is Crazy Shanked special episode number 51. For those of you, to the many of you who are relatively new to my channel, thanks to this series, one thing I like to do every 50 episodes or so is do a recap series, so those who want to come in don't necessarily have to watch 50 episodes. They can get a recap or can go back and see specific episodes because I'm doing a recap. So first and foremost, for those of you who don't want to see me going around my settlement here and building up things, feel free to stop using your eyes and just open your ears, because right now that is the primary thing I'm going to be doing, is dropping off stuff and making stuff and building stuff. So if that's not your cup of tea, I totally understand. Anything that is visually based, I will, say, hey, just look now, that kind of thing. But, yeah, these recap episodes are great for people who haven't watched the series, and the worst for those who are vigilantly keeping up, unless they want to get some reference numbers. So, anyway, welcome to Crazy Shank's Recap. A little bit of history. How I got this idea and all that and stuff. So, way back, like 2 whole video series, Fallout video series ago, when I was doing the NCR, Lone Ranger, what I really wanted to do was to do like a female character, because playing Guy Nate all the time could get boring. I mean, overall, the difference between the Nate and Nora, gameplay-wise, is minimal. Mostly comes to things that refer to their past, and that's largely the USS Constitution. But that's not the only thing. And well, I've been playing guys up until Lone Ranger, and I'm like, well, I don't want her to talk with this, my deep manly voice. That'd be a little awkward. So I had to play as a narrator, put on my deep gravelly cowboy voice, and Nora went out on a quest of vengeance, looking for that no good, darn dirty dog Kellogg. Get her sweet revenge. But that turned out to not be a tremendously fun for me series, and everyone had a lot of complaints of, I don't know what you're saying, because I would do it in narrator tones, so it didn't last very long. However, the idea came to me of, well, what if Nora speaks with her voice and I speak to Nora? Like, I'm a voice in her head. And a real good friend of mine, actually a couple really good friends of mine, I have serious connections to mental illness and the treatment thereof and the care for the people who have them. And that's when I learned about, I'd always known that, the very layman, crazy people can hear voices, right? So that was one of the things that I wanted to do. Hold on. There you go. So, that was just a very generic, but then I learned more about the specifics of things like schizophrenia and other conditions that have you hear voices. And, I'm not going to say I got woke, but I'm going to say that I learned a lot, and yeah, it's not great. There's some people who truly suffer with these voices, and even worse, some who suffer even more once they get rid of them. However, this led to the idea of, well, maybe I could be a voice in Nora's head that tells her to do things. Like, go out there and get your revenge, Nora. Murder that man. But of course, there'd have to be some kind of balancing force, so we can go help people. And that guy farted. It's funny. And then I realized that if you listen to the psychological works of Freud, which has largely been debased, unfortunately, the psyche typically is broken into 3 pieces: the id, the ego, and the superego. And so I roughly, very, very roughly, super loosely based the 3 voices on those 3 base concepts. But since, as I said before, Freud's largely been dismissed. I wasn't gonna, try to stick to those with a great deal of adherence. Hello, Jezebel. Anyway, so I figured, hey, wait, I could do voices, and then I'll be the crazy voices in her head, and that way when she speaks with her feminine voice, it doesn't, seem all that out of place, because Nora is Nora, and I'm just the voices in her head, and that turned out to be great. Plus, the idea that I had for the build on this came from, sprouted up from I, Aelix, have never done this. And so I'm really hoping that this is turning out well, because I've never really done a melee build before. I've always done, like, power armor and heavy weapons, because I like feeling indestructible. It's amazing. So, yeah. After I did NCR Lone Ranger, in an effort to get more proper Lone Ranger-y goodness, and to kind of mirror my very first and at the time most popular series of Fallout 4 Enclave modded, I did Fallout New Vegas Enclave modded to a pretty good thing, but sadly that just confirmed that my bias of I'm not a huge fan of New Vegas, and I know to all the hardcore Fallout fans what I just said is heresy. Stop following. Aelix, delete your channel right now, because what you just said is just patently, objectively, wrong. And I'm like, you know what? Well, let me turn God mode off. There you go. I only had it to carry stuff. Don't want to cheat everything. So, there we go. I will get this Giddy Up Buttercup Museum up and running. I really will. Just takes a while to get all of them, properly set up. But I will, in time. And I gotta get rid of these plants and the like. Anyway. So, that, but that also gave me time to really develop the planned build, like what I'll take at level 12, what I'll take at level 13, what I'll take at level 14, and get that written down. And there was even a series of live streams I did testing it out, and I took a lot of information from wonderful YouTubers such as Fudge Muppet. Oh my god, those Fudge Muppet guys are amazing, and everyone should watch like 10 or 12 of those 12 of their videos a day, especially the Fallout 4 builds. But unfortunately, their love for Fallout has started to, let's say, decline.
Don't you ever shut up.
Most recently, or because, well, it's been a while since Fallout 4 came out. They did a great variety of builds, so I imagine they're kind of running low on ideas because, there's only so many perks. And other recent things Bethesda has done has made them unhappy with Bethesda, to which I go, yeah, I understand that one. Yeah. Anyway, going back to the creation of Crazy Shanks, so I had this idea of maybe I can be insane voices in Nora's head. I've never done a melee build, but I have I have a one planned out, and I had a few friends of mine test it out, and they're like, no dude, this melee build's solid. Just like move this a little sooner, move that around, so yeah. And I was looking around on Nexus, and I found, there's a lot of like unrelated but similarly themed Let's Be a Raider Tonight mods out there. So I'm like, okay, I now have a plan. Nora is going to leave the vault, listen to the holotape from Nate, and lose her mind. That is when I will show up as crazy voices, tell her to do naughty things, good things, or selfish things, and, that was where the idea was born. And it all came together, so now I have Nora, who has voices in her head, doing pro-raider things, and a lot of up-close and personal. So, let's go to the recap for everyone. Alright, so, episodes 1 through 5 is the Nora is barely wearing any armor and doesn't know what she's doing, and the world is fresh and new, and there's an extra level of crazy, and that is where we have our companion, Man Beast. Yummy Man Beast. Oh yeah, these first 5 episodes really, really, really well set the tone, and I'm super happy with how those first 5 episodes came out. For those of you who don't know who Man Beast is, there's a YouTube channel called Auntie Donna, and he is a character from there. The actor Broden plays him, and it is a brilliant, just silly, goofy, wonderful channel, and it's so fun. It really is. Everyone should go check out Auntie Donna, and especially, like, was it Man Beast Returns? And that's where, when I was playing with Man Beast as a companion, he was, saying things. Those are all the audio clips are from there. So, that's also where I picked up the secondary companion, the Red Tourette's Raider, and that's what started us down the, hey, let's be a raider, why not, path. And, it's not the worst thing to have ever have happened, in my opinion. I mean, it's, that decision to do, like, pro raider has actually been one of my favorite things about this series. So, I'm really excited that, I was able to find that, Red Tourette's, Raider build, I guess. Not so much build, but, mod. That's the word. Wow. I've only said that word like a zillion times. And, like, some of them somewhat recently. Yeah. Anyway, Anyway, so that set us down the path of pro raider and clearly insane. So the first 5 episodes is largely Nora tries to get to Diamond City, and golly, was that a challenge. So, yeah, that was a thing. It was a real thing, and yeah, I'm not gonna say that it was flawless, but it most certainly was. It was certainly very setting. So, episodes 6 and 7 is where we get to Diamond City and start really establishing ourselves in the world of, like, okay, this is what Nora is and does. This is how people will know her, and yeah, and that's also where we finish the Red Tourette's mission, and that was one of my favorite things that ended up happening. Is that I got the was it Confidence Man mission, where we have to get Travis to, like, basically man up, and that would take us to the Beantown Brewery, and the Red Tourette's quest was go kill Tower Tom because he killed Red Tourette's sister. And so overall that worked out really, really well, and for those who wish to play along at home, that is the way you do that. You pick up Confidence Man and then go kill Tower Tom. It works out so well. And the Red Tourette's mission is what gave us this beautiful Federal Reserve stockpile as our settlement. Now you also get the interior, which I am not a huge fan of. Personally, I like this exterior area much more. But yeah, it's pretty big, and there's a lot you can do. The dip here in the front is a little challenging, but once you start getting out of the big dip and start more of the, flatter lands, where you saw I was making that little lounge area, which I am not going to stop doing. I'm just going to do more, and yeah, we're going to put some of these potted plants outside. And look at that. See? People are already enjoying the seating area. There we go. Put that back here. Little shade. There you go. So, anyway, back to the recap, because I love getting distracted. It's so easy, and I'm really good at it. So, starting at episode 8 and going through 9, 10, and 11, I was doing the Tales from the Commonwealth Raider content with, the Raider leader, Bobby Blackeye. And for those of you who have never tried this mod, go out and do it. It is so well done. And having never done that mod series, that mod pack before, I had no idea, but it also combos super well with the Red Tourette's mod, because the first thing you do for, other than, start the quest, go there, get captured, but when you start becoming a raider proper, the first thing they have you do is come to the Federal Reserve stockpile and let Kane go. Now, you're supposed to kill your way through, but since I'm friends, I just walked my way in. It was great. And, yeah, it was just, oh, so good. And that was the start of the Leather and Lampshade era. This is part of the roadblocks. I don't know. Part of the way things are organized in this series is what armor is Nora wearing at the time. And, yeah, you can tell what I'm doing right now. But, yeah, that was the Leather and Lampshade. And that was her just accepting, full raiderdom. Alright, so, after that, my intent was to, pick up Kate, which I did, and then do a little bit of exploration and then join the railroad. But episode 15, a couple episodes after getting Kate, and said letting Man Beast roam the Commonwealth as he does, unfortunately, thanks to some kind of mod mix-up, and you see this happen a lot in this series, where I'll talk to someone who's got like scripted
I gave up alcohol
stuff, and they, when a dialogue box should pop up, nothing happens. Well, unfortunately, with the railroad, if you move around too much or you wait too long, they go aggressive. So that kind of screwed up my plans for a bit, and I'm like, well, I really wanted her to join the railroad so I could get the ballistic weave. Hi, Kate. How are you? Yeah, here. Leather and Lampshade era, that's her. This was what I was wearing, and I just kind of let Kate have it once we went to the next one, which was great. Anyway, oh yeah, so it kind of screwed up I wanted to get the ballistic weave and pick up what's his face from the railroad, and actually have an honest railroad go through. And the idea was that Nora would have learned her ways, settled the hell down, stopped being a raider, and gone out and tried to put her life back together. And the whole sneaky clandestine would have done well, even though she's really strong and beefy and beats people up. It's still, God, the lounge area is immediately useful. I love this. Anyway, would have worked out really well in my mind. Like, let her just calm down, and it would have given me the deliverer and the bald guy who changes his face, whose name I can't recall, and I'm sure I'm going to get a million comments on that, but that's fine. It's fine. I kind of put him out of mind because I screwed that up on episode 15. So, episodes 12 through 26 was largely, let's go explore things, and that is where I came across some of the wonderful wacky weapons and other modded content that's just so delightful. I got the repulso gun, and just it was just a weird, trippy exploration, and I loved it. That was just a great time. And also, that was the time in episode 17 where this childlike Pinkie Pie voice came in. And for those of you who watch me on more than just YouTube, I make an appearance regularly on a streamer called the number 4 My Homies, and it's run by a lady who calls herself Mrs. E, and it makes sense in context. So, but I show up on Mrs. E stream a lot, and she's a huge fan of me and my work, and I love her to pieces for it. I probably would love her to pieces even if she wasn't a fan, so don't think it's like, I like her because she likes me. I'm like, no, she's honestly funny as hell. Everyone should go catch her streams when possible. But every once in a while, because she is such a good fan, I'll slip her like little clips of cool stuff coming up in episodes, you know, little interesting things that worked out, or in this case, a sample of me in this voice singing a line from Apples to the Core from My Little Pony. You're more fun than the color pink. And that was basically saying, hey, there's a third voice coming. And yeah, that has turned out to be really great. So yeah, now in those exploration times also, since the new plan that kind of instant formed in my head was get Kate up to maximum affection. So episode 25 is when we went out to that one vault and had to get Kate cleaned out of her drug habit, which was amazing because I had one of my most favorite gags going. One of my mods is called You've Got a Raider or Gunner in Me. And what it is, there's a ring you wear that turns raiders or gunners into friendlies for you. So, if you can't tell, I wear the one for raiders almost constantly, and it has been to my benefit the whole time. But for that episode, the gag was I put that on off camera, and then for the whole time I'm going through this gunner-infested base. I'm crouched down. And I'm like, okay, now go slow, and they won't see you. And the gunners are, you know, non-aggressive. We're not going to start turning on me. And they would actually turn and address me like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, shh, shh, shh. Don't look him in the eye. And it was just wonderfully dumb. And it was one of my first real, like, oh my god, this is one of my favorite gags moments that just kind of came up out of the ether. So then episodes 27 through 31 is the start of the Nuka Cherry combat armor and picking up Nick as a companion. Since I had gotten Kate all the way up to maximum affection, I'm like, let's start someone else. And
looking at as long as there's some excitement at the end of the road.
Yes,
Bullets
exactly,
and
Kate.
bombs, my favorite.
Anyway, so I figured Nick would be a sufficiently wacky partner because there's Kate, there's me, who's got voices in her head and all that, and then Nick being just the straight man of this relationship, and I figured it'd be great. It's 27 through 31, and episode 29 has one of those moments that encapsulates the whole series, and that's Nora. It's the start of the follow the dog meat part of quest when you're trying to find Kellogg, and I have a mod that turns the dog meat barks into cat meat meows for those people who want to do cat meat, but I did not change him to cat meat, so he's still a regular dog. So episode 29, Nora goes, and now I'm trusting my future to a dog. I really am crazy. Then you see dog meat bark, and a moment later there's a meow. It's just so perfect. And I had totally forgotten that she says this, but one of the things that Nora's always going to do is always going to take the sarcastic remark unless there's like a Silver Shroud remark. Because, oh man. And then a few episodes later, in episode 30, comes another one of my favorite moments is Nora has killed Kellogg. She'd gotten her revenge. Angry Voice is super happy with her. And you walk out, you look to the Commonwealth sky, and nothing. I have this wonderful, wonderful mod by the White Collar Players that makes the Brotherhood of Steel make sense. So, because I have not helped Dance get that beacon, the Brotherhood of Steel have not shown up. And at this point, I have no intention of helping Dance or the Brotherhood of Steel show up. So, the biggest terror of the Commonwealth is me. And it's going to be great. It's just going to be amazing, in my opinion. Alright, so, episode 32 is when I pick up Mr. Strong. Well, hey there, Mr. Strong. Oh, we built something so nice for Mr. Strong. And this, after having done the wandering thing, I definitely wanted to say, like, okay, let's have a quest or two lined up so it seems much more purpose-driven. Because I had gotten, I myself was getting a little sick with that whole, I don't know what I'm going to do now. Let's wander over here. Not that the exploration wasn't great, but it was starting to run long. So I tried to have it be a bit more purpose-driven when I got Strong. And I'm certain things are better for it. So, oh, there's where I put that campfire. Anyway, so episode 33, I built this milk henge, I think is what the community has called it.
Take some, human.
And got Strong this milk of human kindness armor, and he has not stopped wearing it since. He's just so happy with it. Look at that. I mean, oh man. So that is one of those great things that just stick out of my mind. And I did it in a cutie voice, and it was just great. Alright. And during that time, episode 38 is when we had the start of the Deathclaw armor era, and I have it back here. And, oh yeah, Deathclaw armor, Kate's corset, and had a Deathclaw gauntlet. It was fun as heck times, but not tremendously survivable. So, yeah. Oh, right, and episode 40 is when we got it was brand new at the time, but the Alien Arsenal Creation Club stuff, which let me get, and I wouldn't have picked it up normally, because I'm not a huge fan of there being Zetans in Fallout, but, you know, they've been there since the beginning, but I got this Alien melee weapon, so I'm like, okay, now I gotta get it. And the voices and I refer to it as the thwappin' stick. And you know what? It works really, really well. I'm really impressed. And it looks so good. And so I got the Alien Arsenal up there. And I got other weapons we've picked up along the way. Stuff we want to... You know, the Silver Submachine Gun, the Exterminator Solar Cannon, the World Series Bat. You know, the Liberator. Other guns and things. The spiked rolling pin, the early days. Oh, such good stuff. And, yeah. So many wonderful, strange, delightful things. Oh, the very first weapon, the frying pan. The frying pan. I bet I could modify that up now. Anyway. Yes, this is Nora's room, where, a lot of things are being kept around, you know. Spare guns, spare clothes, misc items, yeah, a lot of good storage here, and then eventually the walls are just going to fill up with guns, because like we got that one already full, that one already full, that one I think the clipping is off, so I can't mount it there, because this place was never meant to be a settlement, so things got a little messed up. Anyway, alright, so going through, so yes, 32 through 41 was the Mr. Strong era. And then episodes 42 through 47, I started with the Mechanist. So I picked up Ada as a companion and started that, but I have not yet finished that. But that has gotten us some of the greatest things. We have a full set of robot armor that I just kind of pickpocketed off the raiders there, because we were friendly. We walked into the, you know, the Fort Hagen satellite array, and just walked around like, oh hey, how's it going? I only had to take down Ahab and what's her face, the leader, and got the things for that, and that's great. But when I go off against the Mechanist proper, I'm going to want to be a little more leveled. I'm going to want a bit more armor, specifically against energy weapons. So I'm going to be working that robot power armor, or robot armor, or possibly even something else to get that worked up properly for that, so I have a chance of surviving. Also, I have every intention of fighting the Mechanist and their forces properly, because every other series I've gone the smart person route and like hacked in through the back way. Anyway, so yeah, episode 43. Episode 43 is amazing, because that is when we picked up this piece of this mod, the Plunger Gun. And everyone can enjoy the Plunger Gun because it's on Bethesda.net. And this thing is truly amazing. The Plunger Gun has some great animations, mostly from it teleporting in. And just read the mod description. It is absolutely worth it. It's silly fun, and I just love this thing. I'm so glad I didn't get the Deliverer now, because now I have the Plunger Gun. And then from episodes 47 through now, I have been the Silver Shroud. No villain can escape the death, and death is carried on the Silver Shroud.
Hide ugly faces.
So yeah, it's just, that has been a delightful thing. I've added in the new Silver Shroud voice, and one thing I'm trying to do is every time I'm in like Silver Shroud mode, I add film grain to the episode. So far, no one has complained about the film grain being there, but and I hope no one does, because I think it's pretty clever of me. And yeah, and I'm also trying, since then, I've also been trying to keep my episodes shorter, and cut out some of the dialogue waiting options and the like. And yeah, so also episode 49, so like 2 episodes ago, was the first time I had another person's voice show up in any of my videos. It's a cameo from one of my best fans and growing friends, Red Conquer, and she was able to in just 2 takes record this really great piece of dialogue of Nora's true inner voice, like her own thoughts, as Nora would hear herself. And I did that to explain why in the memory den none of the voices were going to pop up. And I did that because, one, I think the memory den sequence is just brilliant, where you go into the mind of Kellogg, and 2, the voices would have really just kind of trampled all over that sequence. So I'm like, nope, I'm gonna be quiet on that sequence. And thirdly, I was getting over a cold, and so I'm like, let's see if I can do this muted. So no coughing into the microphone and no having to reshoot and all that. So that turned out really great. So it explains why when she goes into the memory lounger, all the voices go silent. Plus, I had my friend Jazz Elves, the guy who made my theme music. He was able to take a few bits of audio I had recorded. Basically, each of the 4 voices, showing their disdain for being silenced in the memory lounger, and they all came in at once as this huge, delightful cacophony of when she's leaving the memory lounger pod, and I just love that. It was just this weird, trippy, and like you can hear at the end the silver voice talking about justice. The whole time you can hear the little high voice, like, I don't like it, that was mean and stupid, and it's just, such a delight. So, alright, so that brings us up to today, and next episode there'll be more Silver Shroud goodness, and continuing on with other plans, getting revenge against the Mechanist, and eventually, in just a few levels, what are we level now? We are level 27, so in 3 levels, when we hit level 30, It's off to Nuka World. Oh, I am so excited for Nuka World. Ah, yes, because Nora's already like super pro raider, and so she is I'm gonna have no problem like enslaving the entirety of the Commonwealth. I mean, Preston is still in the Museum of History. The combat is long over. They're still there, just hiding out. And I don't know where they're getting food or water, but they're surviving somehow. Certainly not thriving. So anyway, this episode has gone on far longer than I intended. Normally these things are like short compared to normal episodes, but 35 minutes now. Yeah, oops. So anyway, thank you all for joining me, and I shall see you all next time.